for the right reasons. Okay. So let's start with what is minimalism. It's very simple, guys. It's in the name. It's not owning a lot of things. Now, when you don't own a lot of things, what ends up happening is you start to care less. And when you care less about material possessions, it frees you up to worry about things that matter more. Okay. Now, obviously, this is very difficult to do in 2025 and beyond because we live in an Instagram world. We live in a world where materialism, having nice things, nice cars, nice houses, nice clothing, nice, things in general is the norm, right? And it's kind of in your face now because thanks to social media, not only is materialism thrown in your face, you're encouraged to constantly buy things that have materials so you can go ahead and flex to other people. That's the world that we're in now, right? That's the world that we're in. We're in a very materialistic world. And things get worse because, this is a dating podcast. We talk to you guys all the time about getting girls and being more attractive, etc. The thing that sucks with that is, in order to attract women nowadays, you have to have some semblance of materialism, right? Or at least create the facade, right? That you have the ability to create materialism, or you have materials. And this comes from female hypergamy. Women are designed where they want resources, right? They have a proclivity to want a man that has excess resources. This is just simply biology. And as your job as a man, your job is to have access to those resources and present said resources in excess so you have the best mating opportunities. So it is a natural thing. So what I'm asking you guys to do isn't necessarily easy, okay? I understand that it's difficult. But if you can get by your hindbrain, right, and figure out a way to do this in a way where you're able to still maintain high sexual market value while simultaneously not owning too many things, it makes things a lot simpler for you, right? So that's what materialism is, right? Now, let's talk about, now that we talked about materialism and what it is, let's go through my journey real quick, right? About how I got to this. So prior to college, I was very materialistic. I was all about dressing nice, wearing, I'm a little bit older, so I'm really revealing my age here. But I had the Jordans, I had the Ed Hardys, I had the True Religion jeans, I had all that stuff, right? From 2007 up until I started college, my sophomore year of college. I was super, I need the new Sixes, I need the new Jordans, I need the new True Religions, I need the new Ed Hardys, I gotta be, looking good. I worked at Macy's at the time. I did, as you guys know, I did loss prevention working for Macy's. So working for Macy's made it where I was always in front of nice things. I was always pretty fashionably trending. I was pretty fashionable, I was always fashionably forward because I was working at a department store that had access to and had all the designer brands, right? And my wave spinning back then, I'm like 17, 18 years old. It's my junior/senior year of high school, right? I'm wearing the nicest Ralph Lauren, all that stuff. Because I went to a high school that was very urban. I guess I'll say it like that. It was an urban school. I went to New Britain High School in New Britain, Connecticut. Okay. So that was what it was. You got to be fresh. We're listening to Dipset, all that crap, right? So I go to college, right? I go to Northeastern University, which is a very good school now. I'm actually shocked at how competitive it's become. Like a 4% acceptance rate, 4 to 5% acceptance rate now, 6%, something like that. Better than some of the Ivy League schools now. And the school even back then was difficult to get into. It was the #1 private school in the country at one point, right, when I was there. So I go there, and I make friends. I walk onto the rowing team, right, because I was always in pretty damn good shape. And I got in shape. Well, I was skinny. That was another reason, too, why I was materialistic. I'm sorry I didn't mention this. I was skinny growing up, guys. I didn't hit the gym until I was 18 years old, right? I didn't go to the gym for the first time until I was 18 years old. That's when I started lifting weights. Up until then, I was skinny, rail thin, right? So that summer after I graduated high school, after I got bullied and stuff, right? Because I dressed nice, but I was a skinny, a stick figure. So after I graduated, I started going to the gym. I'll never forget. Big Sky Gym outside in Newington, Connecticut. I know it lives in Central Connecticut. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? Big Sky Gym, Newington, Connecticut. They should pay me for saying that. But that was the first gym I went to, right? It was a pretty good gym. Trained there for about a year, 2 years. My first year in college, I went to school at Central Connecticut State University, CCSU in New Britain, Connecticut. I went there for a year, right? After I went there for a year, I applied to go to school at Northeastern. I got in, right? Because my high school grades weren't that great. So the second year, someone said, how did I become a D1 athlete? Listen to the story, dummy. Don't be stupid. Listen to the story. So, graduated from high school, 2008. Very skinny. Start going to the gym that summer of 2008. Start working out. 2008, 2009, into 2009, I'm working out, getting a good amount of weight, shoot up from 164 pounds, 166 pounds to about 215 pounds, right? Do a little cut. Get down to around 210, 205. That year that I was in Connecticut, I was working at Macy's and going to school at CCSU. So I lived with my parents. I had all this extra money. I was buying the new Jordans every week. I was getting new clothes. I was looking, fresh, whatever. I go to school at Northeastern fall of 2009. I start at Northeastern, fall of 2009. I walk onto the rowing team that fall, right? Because at this point, I had been training for like a year and a half, 2 years now, right? I walk onto the team. I have my Jordans, all that other stuff. I'm with white boys from Long Island, Providence, other parts of Connecticut that aren't the hood, right? Upstate New York, all over the Northeast, right? New Hampshire, Vermont, people from California. Northeast was a private school, so it attracted a lot of kids from all over the country, Florida. And I realized all these kids came from, affluent areas and all over the United States, right? And none of them wore Jordans. None of them wore designer. None of them wore any of this stuff. And I kind of peeped this, and I was like, what's going on here? And I quickly learned that the only people that wear designer, the only people that wear fancy, expensive, overpriced clothing and sneakers like this are idiots, right? People that aren't really financially astute. And I said, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. And I downsized. I stopped buying Jordans. I stopped buying Nike Foamposites, $200 a pair. I stopped buying True Religion jeans, Ed Hardy, Polo, Lacoste. I stopped buying all that. I just stopped. Focus more on the gym, creating an aesthetic physique, right? At this point, Z's was blowing up. This is like 2010, 2011-ish now, right? And I'm like, I'm going to go to the gym. Who cares about clothes? I make the clothes don't make me, right? Traded in my Jordans for Sperry's, wore regular Levi's jeans, and that was the beginning, right? After I graduated college, I worked for the government, cared even less, right? I'll never forget, I moved into my first apartment, 830 Faskin Boulevard, Laredo, Texas, right? Carmel Apartments. That's where I lived. I moved into my little apartment. There was nothing there. There was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. You walk in, living room is there, kitchen to the side. To your right is the kitchen. The front is the little living room area, very small. Little bedroom. And then you go in and bathroom's right there with the closet. I bought one couch, put it there, a little TV. I had a table, like a dining room table, cost me like $97. I'll never forget that. I bought a mattress, put it on the floor, slept on that, and that's it. It's all I had. A couch, one table with one chair, a little TV, mattress on the bed, on the floor. That's it, right?